Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, welcome. I am so glad you're here. I say that because I firmly believe that the rising tide lifts all boats. So, how all of us in the social sector approach AI and learn how to use it responsibly, that helps our entire sector do the same. And AI is one of those things where there's such a profound ripple effect. Like if you're in a community where people are saying, down with AI, it's not a good writer, or it's not helpful, it's never going to be useful, the robots are going to get us, that has a chilling effect. If you're in a community where people are saying, yeah, I've been dabbling in it, I have a lot to learn, but so far I've been using it for this and this and this, that has like a warming effect. If you're neutral, the people around you may be kind of neutral. But those of us who are spending time in the space, learning about it, learning how to use the tools, beginning to understand how the tools interact with us, right? So, one of the things, we're not just learning about how the tools work, we're learning about how they work with us. So every user has a different experience with ChatGPT, with Claude AI, with Gemini, with Copilot, whatever. And it has to do with the way that we communicate. So again, thank you very much for being here. I'm very, very excited about today's event. I'm just checking to make sure that I am live. I am. Okay. It's one of those like, what if nobody comes to my party? Like, I don't know. I get that feeling almost every show. Still, I always want to make sure there's people here. All right. So, I'm super, super excited about delivering the content that I have today. And if we haven't met, if you don't know me and I don't know you, I would love to get to know you. All you need to do is DM me on LinkedIn. And if we're not already connected, just click connect. I'll accept. And then you can DM me and then we can be in touch. I consider myself an open book when it comes to this work. What I do all day is help people with their adoption of responsible AI. I also do professional development for fundraisers, particularly in higher education. And we also have consultancy, kind of a traditional fundraising consulting arm of our company. My company is Empowered Fundraiser and Coaching and Consulting, and this responsible AI part of our company is called the AI Empowered Fundraiser Group, because we are growing, because there's so much work to be done in this area that we have just, you know, a, a lot of really good work to do. Oops. Okay. So here's what we are talking about today. I'm going to share my screen. How is everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Let's see here. Here's where we are. Welcome. If you have any questions, use cases in AI, please let me know. I would be happy to discuss and do an overview of any potential question that you may have. It would be to have specific, and I'm happy to do that. So let me know if you have something that you definitely would like to discover or explore. I'd be very happy to do that. So today we're talking about the very best use cases for AI in higher education advancement. And I'll be honest, it was almost impossible for me to pick the best use cases because there are so many. So I chose a few that are certainly up there toward the top. I chose some examples where there are where we can use them in this particular, we can use our AI skills in this particular area, but that same skill set applies to other things we do in our everyday life as advancement professionals. Okay? So, as we do, we always talk about how we will not put confidential information into ChatGPT. And of course, same is true with Claude AI or Gemini or any of the large language models. We don't put confidential information into these large language models. We want to sleep well at night. We don't want our donors' information going out there into the world. We don't want our strategies going out there into the world because oftentimes they mention specific individuals. We don't we do not put confidential information into ChatGPT. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't work with ChatGPT on like a donor strategy or analyzing data. It just means that we have to remove the personally identifying information, PII. We remove that from the content of what we're putting into ChatGPT. Okay. Now, if you haven't already done so, here is here's the URL, bit.ly the goods 2024, or you can use this QR code to go to our resources. It looks like this, what I have over here on the left or the right hand side. This will enable you to access tons and tons of resources. We have all of our recordings, handouts, slides, guides, worksheets, um, interviews. I mean, we have got a ton of support here for you. So head on over there if you haven't already, if you don't already have that URL saved in your favorites. Um, I'll just leave this up here for a sec while I talk about. So here are a bunch of the things I've done in the AI world, and where I start to get some like I don't know, credibility in this space. But I'll also mention that I don't have any like special, skills. Like I didn't grow up I'm not a technology native. I didn't start using a computer on a regular basis until like my junior or senior year in college. And even that was when we like had to go to a computer lab to do our work. So, I haven't been, I don't write code, I don't do any of that stuff. But what I do know how to do is bring a curious mind to my projects and my endeavors. I have a willingness to be vulnerable, and I'm ready to pour into community. So, one of the things that I've learned to be true about AI is that having other people to talk to along your journey is so critically important. You can learn from each other, you can like shortcut things by learning from one another. In addition, there are things about your journey that are just going to be so confrontational. When you find out that ChatGPT is better at XYZ thing than you are, there's like a moment, right? Where you're like, oh dear, I spent my whole life learning how to be like the best writer I could possibly be. And now when I use ChatGPT along with my expertise as a writer, it's even better than it's ever been before. That can be kind of tricky. So if you have a willingness to be vulnerable and a curious mind and a readiness to pour into community, you're set. You don't need a technical background by any means. And I am proof of that. Welcome, 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 folks. As you get here, please drop any questions you might have into the chat. I'm going to just let me know if you have questions or ideas about using AI in higher ed advancement. All right, I thought it would be useful for us to talk for a second about how AI is in general used in higher education. And I say this because a lot of us are, as advancement groups begin integrating AI into everything they do, one of the factors in higher ed is that we work with people who are, computer science, you know, s- senior academic leaders in computer science or machine learning or artificial intelligence. Like, then we have all the professors who are working on their pedagogy techniques and their assessment techniques, right? Lots of people who are revered and respected in the higher ed community share their thoughts and opinions about the use of AI in higher ed. It's very different when we're talking about the pedagogy than when we're talking about the business units like advancement or, enrollment, student affairs, finance, facilities, etc. But nonetheless, it bleeds over because it's part of our culture, right? So if you have a really well-known faculty member who's, one of the people who wants us to really, really, really slow down as AI evolves, that's going to have an impact, right? That's going to have an impact on how quickly and seamlessly you can adopt AI in this particular business unit. Hold on one second. I want to say hi to my daughter really quickly. Hi, Luca. I'm just going to close the door real quick because I'm on a live.
Okay, I close for you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Auntie.
Can you get Jibby out?
Yeah, Jules, come here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my house. Bear with us while we get situated. Thank you, honeys. Okay. Of course, they also use it for that, you've got the personalized learning experience that is going to be way easier in the future, right? Enhanced research capabilities. So if you look at like some of the news stories about companies like Moderna, where there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people using AI to do the work of like 100,000 people, it's pretty remarkable. And think about that in every university, around the world. It's used in content creation, of course, and then in assessments and feedback. So lots of uses for generative AI in higher ed as a whole, and lots of opportunities for us in the business units like advancement to have conversations about how AI is being used. So these are some things that people in higher ed have, on their minds about how AI could go wrong, right? There's a distrust of higher ed in general already. That could get worse, right? AI does threaten academic integrity unless we change the way we're teaching. The pace of technological change is almost impossible to keep up with. I would say it's actually impossible to keep up with. Whenever it comes to tech, we worry about the mental health outcomes, right? We're learning more and more about how social media, for example, has been detrimental to like our Gen Z kiddos. Um, Privacy concerns, of course. Where's that data going? Ethics, bias, and are they shortcuts? Are our students not going to learn these things because they're using AI? So these are some of the things that our higher ed colleagues think about. Now, when we think about our use cases in advancement, we remind ourselves that generative AI can do three things, right? Research, anticipate, and generate, right? So those are like the three categories. Yes, Kevin, always be curious. You can't break any. Oh my God, you are so right. You cannot break generative AI. You can't. You could just, sometimes I'll just I feel like almost a bully and I feel guilty about it because I'll be like, pushing for a better answer, a different answer. And I'm like going back and forth with the AI. And I'm like, if this were a person, oh my God, they would never want to be my friend because I'm like, I'm not satisfied. Right. So you can't do anything. Push the limits. Right. And the worst that'll happen is you get an unsatisfying response, and then you just, go on to something else. All right, we research, we anticipate, and we generate. So those are the three categories of things that we can get a ton of use out of. So let me talk a little bit about, I'm going to turn off my slides for a second. Let me talk a little bit about one of my very favorite use cases. And now we're getting into the nitty gritty. One of my favorite use cases is using generative AI as your 24/7, non judgmental, eager to please mentor. And this is so incredibly important because it's so hard to find a mentor, right? Like, especially for our earlier career college, well, especially for all of us, really. The higher you go, the fewer people there are above you to potentially mentor you. When you come into your career path, you may not have a mentor because all of the people who could mentor us are so crazy busy. They're so crazy busy. They're pulled in a million different directions. Like the middle managers in higher ed advancement have 100 bosses, and they just are like, they're usually dealing with like what's right in front of their faces, especially if you think about like an AVP role. They are putting out fires constantly, nonstop. So it's really hard to get consistent, solid mentorship. Also, some of us don't want to ask certain questions of our mentor, right? Like, may be sensitive. It may feel like oversharing. We may feel too vulnerable by admitting, like, you know, something like, I'm not sure what that dress code actually means, right? Yeah, exactly, Nicole. Like, if I would have had like a go to place for just like some answers and clarity, oh my word, that would have been awesome, let alone how to actually do my job. So a lot of the things that I hear when I'm working with early career development officers, I hear oftentimes, nobody taught me how to do my job, right? But there's still high expectations. The other one I hear is, my boss is weird. And who knows, that could be it could be generational. Maybe we just don't like get each other. Who knows? But I cannot tell you. I'm going to say like 60 to 70% of the early career development officers I work with give me some version of, my boss is weird. It's like, my boss is weird. My boss doesn't get me. I don't understand what my boss is saying. um, my boss doesn't answer my emails, or I don't understand what they're saying, or my boss sends emails at 6 o'clock at night, whatever. There's like disappointment in that like potential mentorship relationship. So we like to use ChatGPT as our 24/7 mentor. That means asking, you ask away. Any question you may have, just ask away with abandon. Your 24/7 mentor can help you. So I'm going to share oops, what happened here? My screen. Sorry about that, everybody. What happened? There's my deck. Okay. Another use case that I love for absolutely everybody, doesn't matter what industry you're in, but particularly in higher ed advancement, and I'll share why. I am a huge advocate for AI recorders. So either, the one that's inside Zoom, right, automatically in there. Well, I suppose you might have a Zoom account that doesn't record, but I feel like they all do. Or if you get a third-party application like Fathom AI. Fathom AI is my very favorite one. So AI recorders will allow us to do a number of things that can be a real breakthrough for our teams. What we want to do with an AI recorder is, the main things are, how are we going to use them, right? And then how are we going to talk about it? But what the AI recorder allows us to do is, say you are working on a big project and you're just having a heck of a time getting everybody all together, right? You just like, everybody's busy, somebody's on PTO, somebody's sick, blah, 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 but you need to keep the project moving forward. When you use an AI meeting recorder, you're able to capture what happens in that meeting and then share it out with people, right? And you're able to share it in multiple formats. Video, right? You're able to share the actual recording, you're able to share the transcript, you're able to share curated notes. Maybe you like your notes in the form of like an executive summary, maybe who said what were the agreements, what were the action items. You can write a prompt that you always use for like this. Let's say you have a work group meeting every Tuesday. You may have a prompt that you use that you put your AI transcripts through that always gives you the notes in exactly the way you want it. So that regardless if somebody's not there, they will be informed of what's going on. The other thing it allows you to do when you process those notes is you can actually, from there, begin drafting your agenda for your next meeting. So that when you go back, you've got like, okay, this is fairly fresh, right? You'll know you generate the agenda and maybe you add to it or detract, right? You edit it a little bit and then you're done. So as you're scheduling your next meeting, you can actually send that agenda out. Of course, it would be a draft and you would ask people to add to it and you would tweak it, when it's closer to the meeting time. But having an agenda without putting any, brain calories into it is a really, really good place to start making your meetings more effective. People love to have an agenda in advance. Enough of us are allergic to like time wasting meetings that having an agenda is like so important. And you can do that with the meeting recorders. So those are a couple of things I love. And when you talk about meeting recorders, we need to think about, where is the data going? That's always going to be important. Is there anything confidential that we're going to be talking about? In which case we would turn the meeting recorder off. Is there anyone on the call who simply does not want to be captured on video, at all, period? Then you would turn the recorder off. Um, but talking about it in terms of what it does for us, what it allows, is really the best way to get everybody feeling comfortable with it and letting them know that you prioritize privacy and data security. It's helpful too. Now, I want to talk about AI enhanced event planning. So that is one of the very best uses for AI in higher ed. Well, really in any type of nonprofit, in any type of organization, in any family. Um, Doing event planning is really, really good because you can so easily analyze your plans based on, you can create a persona on ChatGPT. What would a baby boomer who lives in Nebraska, who is interested in pickleball, cycling, and really old, stamp collecting. They like stamps. How would they like XYZ event, right? What would they want to do at that event? What would make it special for them, right? Then you could move on to how would we make this event of interest for Gen X? How would we make this event interesting for Gen Z, et cetera? So you can begin testing like the efficacy of an event. Like, how is it going to help you meet? What are your goals? How are you going to meet your goals based on different factors, right? We could talk about what if we do, what should be our backup plan if it rains, right? What kind of tchotchkes should we use? Or, what kind of tchotchkes should we give away and why? Which ones will be most popular for this particular audience? We can do our talking points. We can do our invitations. We can do our briefings, our thank you notes, everything, all of that can be done using a large language model. And I will say that it is a benefit that it can be done faster. I love that for us, which because it helps us keep on schedule for our event planning. But really, the more impactful benefit is that the quality is going to be better. A strategy that you have vetted by testing it against, for example, different personas, generations, that's going to be a better strategy, right? And we have to remember, like, this is a lot of wisdom that's living inside this data, right? So when we're talking about, a generation and their interests and their proclivities, like, it's going to always be more information than we have in our brains, right? We will tend to manage by anecdote, right? Make decisions based on anecdotes. When we use AI, we're going to make decisions based on actual data. And here I'll make a plug for perplexity.ai. Perplexity is a wonderful research tool. Even arguably, it's different than ChatGPT, but sometimes it's better. I am a huge fan of Perplexity AI for research. And the thing that's lovely about that is as you do your research, you can see where all the data came from because it gives you all of the sources. And then you can go read those sources as well. So there's that. Now, while I have you here and we're talking about events, I want to take this moment to share with you a GPT that we just spun up in our AI summer camp. So today was our last day. We had a wonderful time together. It was so awesome. And we are launching another one on October 11th. It's Fall Forward with ChatGPT. We're calling it a boutique boot camp for nonprofit pros. So that will be, we have a wait list that's like almost open. You can DM me to get on it right now. We'll open the website probably on Monday or Tuesday for wait lists, and then we'll start taking signups pretty soon. I cannot wait. We had such a blast. Oh my God, learned so much. We worked on all kinds of AI skills, and we talked a lot about leadership and identity because now, all of you people listening and watching, as well as the people who participate in our programs, like, we're the elite leaders in the nonprofit sector who are using AI. Like, nobody else knows about this stuff, right? Nobody else is trying it out. And we're here learning all about it and learning about how to apply it ethically, right? And then we can go back to our teams and we can have those conversations. So I am going to call up really quickly a GPT that we made. And by the way, if you're not familiar with GPTs, they're basically little apps that you can make. Let's see here. I am sharing screen, ChatGPT, share. And now this we spun up in like 5 minutes. It's just it's an easy peasy, lemon squeezy custom GPT. And I'll share with you what we did. So for those of you who aren't super familiar with GPTs, over here on the left-hand side, you have the option to explore GPTs. And now, unfortunately, my logo here is covering the button that you need to press, but it would be create. These are the GPTs that that OpenAI has put in this thing called the store, even though they're not being sold. Someday they will, maybe. They've been saying that for a little while. So now you're going to click on create. I'm going to click on my GPT since I already created this one. And I'm going to show you how we would use this wonderful technology to help us And I'm just going to show you behind the scenes of this GPT. So as you may already know, when you go into the configure part of a GPT screen, um, create is where you can just chat at it and get a decent GPT. So I just called this generations and engagement. So what our goal is to, I hope you guys can see, you can see my screen, right? So our goal is to help the user with meaningful donor engagement opportunities for a variety of demographics. And what we did is we loaded this. Let me put this away. Let me hide that. We loaded this PDF into our GPT. So we go to upload files and we can upload, just double click on whatever document there that you want to use. Okay. Then we give it some more instructions. And I just gave really, really basic ones. Okay. I do the role and the task and the background. You are Generations and Engagement GPT. Your job is to work with the user to create compelling engagement opportunities based on demographics. You'll begin by asking the user if they already have an event format they've been using for one generation and want to turn it into an event for another generation, or are they starting from scratch? So I'm just giving ChatGPT some ideas for how to talk to the user in this little app. We're saying use the knowledge base. So this document that we uploaded, all about generations, this is what's going to inform how the custom GPT behaves in its work with us. And then I'm saying don't plan the event, but ask some really key questions to walk the user through the thought process. Ask questions about the audience, desired outcome, and challenges. And then I remind the GPT, if you don't know the answer, just don't, say, I don't know. And then we would click update. And if we choose, we can put some little sentence, it is an event. You can give yourself a head start by using some conversation starters here under where it says conversation starters. You could put some in there. Okay, it's taking a little while to update. How's everybody's Friday so far? Weekend. I because so many things this week. Everybody usually makes it run a little bit slower. I think this click on. Okay. Well, this is going to move really slowly. Seems to need. And then I am going to, in the meanwhile, talk about content and making content. So here's another ideal use case for ChatGPT and other large language models in higher ed. And in fact, this is totally transferable to audios. Oh, is audio breaking up? It might be, maybe that's part of the whole reason why my computer is moving so slow. Is it better now? Voice is breaking. Is it still breaking? I wonder why. I wonder why. Is it still breaking? Hopefully it's better. I think that my internet got really slow for a second, and I think it's better now. I hope. Okay. So creating content, we're just going to buzz through the way that we properly prompt. Okay, good, Kevin. Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. Who knows? I am, if you have paid attention to my content or come to my other trainings, you know that I love to teach folks how to properly prompt their AI tools. Absolutely. You can just speak at it as you normally would, just, have a chill convo. But let's say you're trying to do something that's, needs to be production quality or that you're going to do again and again. I recommend taking the time to write a proper prompt. This is going to give you the significant advantage of not needing to do a ton of editing on the back end or not running the risk of having crappy results. So we prompt in this way. We give ChatGPT a role, right? You are the world's best event planner. I need your help structuring an event so that it's appealing to Gen Z. Then specifics and context. Historically, we have done this event programmed mostly for baby boomers. We're now looking to, connect with younger audiences, and we know that we're going to need to change some of our programming as a result. Further context, we are hoping that our Gen Z attendees leave feeling like they are more engaged in the organization and that they're connected to part of our cause, because we know that Gen Z is much more motivated by causes than they are about like loyalty. Say, they're not going to be like, I'm going to make gifts because I bleed, green and white. It's, I'll make a gift because your organization happens to be the best at solving this problem or elevating humanity in this way, da da da. So you're going to give it context. Then let's say you have an example of something that you want to use to guide ChatGPT toward the output that you want. You can put examples in there. You can cut and paste them. You can attach them, whatever. And then notes. Notes are like, please give this to me in bullet points, or, in the past, certain information has been omitted, or you could make sure that you include everything in my prompt, or you could say, we're most successful when we avoid overhyped words, etc. So notes are just kind of like the little hodgepodge lodge of things that may not have shown up earlier in your prompt. Then, as we know, we've given these instructions, this dialogue or request question, and we've put that into ChatGPT. We're going to get a result: text, image, data, video, or voice. We don't have video yet, but we will soon. Not in ChatGPT anyway. In other applications, absolutely. And then we're like, do we like this output? Do we not like this output? I'm not sure. Then we are going to reprompt, right? But we've already, because we've used this prompting method, we're going to be a lot closer than if we hadn't. Okay? So we got that. For reprompting, we can just hit the little circular arrow button here that's inside ChatGPT. We can go back and forth and we can just chat with it, right? This is great. Let's work on a few upgrades. Keep all of your good work without changing stuff. Do swap ABC for XYZ. Remember, like, let's say you're writing a note to someone, remember, I know this person, so it can be a little friendlier. You could say, let's make this a little bit more formal, or I need this in 140 words, or. The other thing you can do, though, and this is what I recommend if you're going to use this prompt again, go back up to the original prompt, and there's a little pencil. Click on the pencil and edit the actual prompt, so that then when you go back to grab that prompt for your next, rinse and repeat, that prompt is perfect. You're not going to be looking at the prompt and then looking for how the conversation went and, trying to cut and paste little pieces of conversation together. So I recommend updating the prompt if it's important. Okay, so now let's see how ChatGPT is behaving. Has it updated? Updates pending. All right, let's see what happens if we just go for it. Okay, so great. It says, let's start by identifying the event you've been using. And the generation, it was, okay, this is in the way. And the generation it was initially designed for. Then we can discuss the generation you want to target now. Could you please share those details? Okay, let's just go with the obvious low-hanging fruit. We've been hosting the same fancy gala for the past 20 years. Same fancy, let me see, annual gala for the past 20 years. Our attendees are aging and our numbers are dwindling. We want to make this event appealing to younger donors. Can you tell me what we might want to have in mind for Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z? Okay, see what happens. And again, it's going to be using the information from our knowledge base, which is that document. Okay, so it's giving us the whole kit and caboodle. So what I'm going to say is, sorry, can you be briefer? Because I don't want to have to read all that stuff. Okay, so Gen X, mix of traditional and modern. Millennials, interactive experiential, authentic storytelling. Gen Z, short dynamic formats with purpose-driven activities. Got it. Now I'm going to say, oops, what is happening here? Random things are dinging. Okay, let's say, great. Now I'm just going to say, can you give me a few ideas for programming for Gen Z for an event that's kind of like a gala, because we still want our baby boomers to attend. So this is all, as a reminder, part of the wonderful use case of event planning using ChatGPT. And what we have learned about each of the generations. You could, define that by grabbing some research about, baby boomers who are men, baby boomers who are women, baby boomers who are Black, baby boomers who are, like all of the different intersections of identities, and you could pull that information into it so that you could target better for your different affinity groups and demographics. So here we go. Hybrid event experience, sustainability spotlight. Yes, okay, because these are causes. Interactive social media wall, cause-driven storytelling segments, pop-up experiences. I'm going to say, okay, please be more specific. Need exact ideas on what to do. This is ChatGPT. This is, it's called a custom GPT. And it's right in there. And Shubham, if you DM me, I can send you some videos teaching you how to make these. If you just popped on, or if you're in any way wanting to have more information about it. Okay. Ooh, what's this green carpet entrance? Replace the traditional red carpet with a green carpet made from sustainable materials. Encourage attendees to dress in eco-friendly fashion and have photographs capture their looks. Ooh, that's that. Okay. This can also be a social media moment with a dedicated hashtag. It's 40. 40. The everybody has 40 now. Pretty sure. And I have a paid account, which just really main benefit is the paid accounts get new bells and whistles before everybody else does. All right, let's see what a sustainable silent auction is. Curate auction items that emphasize sustainability, like eco-friendly products. Ooh, that's cool. Experiences with focus on conservation or art made from recycled materials. Display these items in a beautifully designed section of the event space. Okay. So you could do an auction like often happens at a gala, but it would be, a lot, like 2 million or something. I mean, it's a lot. I think ChatGPT has gone up to, not sure how many tokens. A lot. I've never, ever, ever run out of space, and I'm writing a book. So it's possible that you can run out of space, but I haven't ever. So I don't know. And I don't use the API. So I don't know information about that. Influencer-led social media campaign. Okay, so we get the gist. This is how a GPT works. And this is how you would use it for one of what I think is one of the very best use cases for AI in higher ed, which is event planning. So we talked about content, and I shared with you the prompting methodology, right? And a little bit about reprompting. We talked about event planning. We talked about AI recorders, and we talked about mentor, using ChatGPT as your mentor. A couple of other things I like to use it for are trip planning, um, planning ahead for difficult conversations. So I use that quite a bit in, you know, my overall life. No, I'm not an engineer. No, I'm a non-technical founder. Um, and so yeah, so trip planning, um, um, all forms of content, scripts, talking points. I like to analyze data, like redact. You can redact all the personally identifying information from a spreadsheet and then upload it to find some trends. Like if you want to, let's say, decide where you're going to host some regional events based on different criteria, like where do we have the biggest number of highly rated potential donors? What locale has the biggest, like, total, lifetime giving? Where do we have the most, Gen Z alumni? Yes, I can prompt engineer, but um, I really am mostly engineer is a strong word. I don't write any code ever, ever, ever. So anyway, lots of really great use cases for AI in higher in higher ed. We work with, we train people one-on-one, we train work groups, we train small groups, we train executive leadership teams. So we are here to help you and your colleagues in higher ed apply AI responsibly while also getting the benefits of what is soon to be ubiquitous technology. That's the thing. There's no reason to wait because in, 6 months, a year, everyone is going to be using these tools for everything. So you might as well figure it out now and get your AI intuition, built up, because that's what's going to serve you in good stead. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in your own growth journey with generative AI. Like I said in the beginning, the rising tide lifts all boats. The more of us who know these things, the better off our sector is, because we can help guide what the adoption looks like rather than having that just like happen to us from the tech companies. Okay? All right. Have a beautiful weekend, okay?